Chapter 6 Intuition. My inner vision reaches far further than my exterior one. I clear the fog lying in front of my vision. I am walking on the lake, a mirror-like surface. The clouds surrounding me are dark gray on the right side and light gray on the left side. In between those two sides, there is a gap through which I can see the sky in the daylight and a crescent moon just above my head with a couple of tiny stars rounding the picture. With the power of intention, I clear the fog to the right, making it retreat to the horizon, and in the same way to my left. This vision is placed above my solar plexus in the time just after waking up in the late autumn morning while it is still dark outside. I am crying from the tension I feel in my chakra and from the dream I had. I am repeating a cycle, although I act differently throughout its course compared to the last one. So I presume it's purging that's taking place. To be fully honest, it feels like I am discontinuing on a routine basis, instead of repeating the stages. The next step in the previous cycle was depth. I had difficulty coping with pretty much all aspects of life after some very challenging events took place back then. Now I have already completed quite a few years of diligent self-healing and feel stronger and clearer than ever, proactive and resourceful in looking for ways to increase the feeling of stability, planning for several possible scenarios many steps ahead. I feel I couldn't care less about it in the past. Nonetheless, I am rolling over the tipping point now, a point I know from the previous roundabout. Nothing but the circumstance is the same anymore, and instead of having hope, I have faith. The next chapter will show how I repeated or discontinued this cycle. It is yet also for me to see. It's time to start a new phase, where the vision is clear and the intention is strong, bending the results to my heart-aligned favor and my clear-minded delight. Seeing ahead of you was a coping mechanism. It helped you to develop some useful tools, part of your clairvoyance that is available to you now, seeing people and circumstances in great detail from a zoomed-in perspective. We received many requests from you to support you on your journey. You know very well that some hardships are there for your own good. We do not seek to strip you of difficulties nor of the blessings that come along. You are part of what we call a miraculous journey. It is not necessarily a fairy tale, but it is a transformation worth paying attention to and following the events as it carries important, useful messages. Your path ahead is a path left behind for so many people in your future. Struggles fade away as more and more people are doing their emotional groundwork. New generations will be born needing no such lessons, but with the groundwork already done by people like you, laid in front for their immediate use. Every generation does this groundwork for the next 3-4 generations to come. It is important for us that you understand your worth and the impact of your doings. No generation remains the same, and rarely is the immediate impact of your actions visible at its full scale. It takes time to envelop, for the ripples to ripple through haze and lows of a slowly flowing river of time. It is of immediate use, though, what you create through spreading of the written and spoken word to your immediate surroundings. This spacious ripple creates more and more tangible effects, with a slower moving river of time making her way through space. It is our perspective that you are on the right path with this endeavor. The right path being the one that accelerates your progress possibly the most, creating the most impactful ripples. In fact, It is your choice to be an artistic expression of the universal energy that is part of you. Everyone partakes in cultivating and nourishing, or depleting, this source of energy within themselves. You, our dearest friend, are a source speaking wisdom, a fountain with the waters flowing through you and sparkling drops, each caught still for a moment of time in the air, catching a glimpse of those who, in their hearts, see cultivating their own sources as well, to experience the feeling of connectedness to something that lives beyond death, between rebirths, and apart from the outside existence. And even if it's all nonsense and fantasy in their eyes, any impression that helps people see beyond the veil, fear less of death as an extinguishment, is of great benefit, value, importance. It reaches the core existential questions many leave for their deathbeds to find answers to. These are the quests a whole life might not be enough to answer sufficiently. Each contemplative moment adds a small crystalline ball of insight into the jar of necessity to accept the temporary and constantly changing nature of all phenomena. Some seek, some avoid looking for the insights to put in their jars. Nonetheless, it is important to have them lying around for the subconsciously ready ones to stumble upon them, knock their foot on, or roll over and fall. So don't you worry. Even those who are opinionated about your work are actually showing the growing readiness of acceptance for one or the other crystalline bead. Those who are not, they don't appear in your circles. Fearing disapproval will always slow down your thoughts. Rest with this notion telling you to have patience and faith in those who won't but resist taking a crystalline sphere which could allow them to see themselves differently, as if looking from the inside to what was hidden from them by the layers, hindering the deeper view. Oftentimes I think that I am going through the processes just so I can write about them. I dive into the feelings and the details of the human psyche's perception, the movements among thoughts, beliefs, realities, so that someone could read about it. I don't see the value of diving so deep just for my own sake. I don't think I need so many tools to go on with my own life. I think I could be satisfied and successful in my endeavors with way less awareness about patterns we as humans create. I create a pattern, break it down into the smallest detail, and patch it back together from scraps in a way that would suit my character and my needs. Create some challenge again just to repeat the process. Tap into the source of a problem, be it a self-image, accepting topic, rooting in self-love and self-nourishment, or a simple and most casual of struggles of the job search markets. I discover an annoyance, plunge into the discomfort of living it, and then write about it from the first-person perspective. I don't write it down so that you, dear traveler of the mind, would become wiser. I don't find my insights so genius everyone should know about them. No, I write about it because it surprises me. Life is so full of mystery to me. The ways that things take shape and events evolve, unraveling hidden mysteria of our own subconscious minds, fascinate me ever so much. I keep on wondering about the plot and the project in its full extent, whereas I'm just a minor character playing its role in a much bigger moving picture. I tap into my feelings, discovering some guidelines that help me navigate along the script, as if knowing from somewhere how the story shall be at full scope. Intuition is a feeling of discovering the underneath layers of perceivable reality. Those layers I want to detach from one another and analyze them with every single topic I consciously encounter. And then I want to write about it so as to crystallize my thoughts, make my intuition tangible. Because if I'm not able to communicate about these very important to my inner world perceptions, I do not think I can adapt to living a socially integrated life. If I can't make those insights tangible to myself, how can I imagine being understood among fellow travelers, sharing life's journey? That's why I write, so that I could hear myself clearer, so that I could make myself audible and visible to the outside world. Because if I'm not, then the feeling of belonging is absent, and the depressive state is just around the corner, and the thoughts like, what I'm doing here at all, takes residence in my mind, and it all starts seeming like a suicidal mission. Writing and speaking are my way of being grounded in the material realm. It embodies my soul into my body. And then what I already wrote is allowed to be shaped and formed into an artistic creation to delight me with its tangible form. Thoughts I gather are energies weaving patterns, becoming a denser fragment of a bigger body, forming itself as the story goes. Until one day those fragments reveal a sculpture of intrinsic nature, with details depicting a living character, capturing a moment, defining its truest essence of being among worldly, intrusive beliefs, but not really of this world. 11 years ago, almost to this day, my faith started to crumble. Before that, my trust in life's flow, taking me seamlessly with it, was so immense I've done the most unsettling things with calmness. After I graduated from university, I had a feeling, a longing for living in a community in unknown foreign circumstances. After only 3 weeks of searching and writing emails, I have found one situated right at the heart of the Swiss Alps. I received their letter of invitation, and the next day I was holding a bus ticket in my hand, denoting my journey, starting in a month. A week later, another letter came, a cancellation of the previous announcement. Maybe I could come in 2 or 3 months, they said. But my calling was strong. It felt right. And I have pretended for the rest of the waiting time that what I initially was so happy about was still going to happen. I showed website pictures to my parents and told them how nice and welcoming this place is, just to keep them calm. I shared the real situation only with one person. And off into the nowhere I went. I was invited to stay the first several nights after my arrival at the friend's mother's place. After 2 or 3 days there, I got another email from the community saying that I can come right away or whenever suits me for an unlimited stay. And so I landed just where my intuition told me to focus my efforts. But soon, not even half a year later, I was off with my newly found boyfriend, a person who made an influence on the upcoming 10 years of my life. And the challenges started to become apparent. Somewhere along those years, I lost trust in life's flow, taking me seamlessly with the stream, almost to the extinction of my so cherished openness towards life wisdom. Together with it, my naivety went. I used to rely on things simply working out for me, rather magically, without me knowing how. But now I understand the saying, God helps those who help themselves. With my actual mentality of things working out for me being 80% work and 20% luck. Now when I look back, going through all these hardships, tests, endurance demanding obstacles, I can say with an ease in my voice, it was worth all of the struggle just to find my trust in life's flow, feeling it embracing me every moment of my existence again. I have forgotten the state of being. I asked myself and my guides, the invisible forces, What is the use and the purpose of such a tough training regime for me? I always thought I was going through it to be prepared for something yet unknown in the future. And that thought was enough for me to keep me on a steady line. But this feeling, this is gold. It's me. Truly me. Me like I've known myself to be. So many layers were shed from my psyche, so many hurtful and beautiful eye-openings took place, so many friendships were made. Maybe now I am at the point where my core can be visible from the outside too. I'd like that. I always cherished the transparency and authentic approach to people and places. Now I don't have to show myself as calm and composed, a state I value as an indicator of great inner achievement, and I would show it also when I needed strength. I remember myself now. I will show what's inside, not just a fake it until you make it state, not just a memory of a feeling. Things always turn out well for me. I say it because that's what I'm feeling, not because I want to talk myself into it while scared. I'm always protected. Things that happen for my own good, even though I do not always understand it. I feel I grew older looking over the past couple of years. Lifelong I was told how young my looks are. My grandmother once even mistook me for my niece. But I cannot shake off the feeling that past experiences left a mark on my face. Maybe now that I remember myself, and stress is not a permanent part of my inner well-being, I will regain some of the previous visible and tangible youth. Even retired people reignite their glow when meaningful changes are introduced in their lifestyles. So why wouldn't it apply to me? I don't know how it fits into this chapter, but I don't feel like my body is meant for giving birth. I know I talked a lot about motherhood in my previous book. This topic also needs to be addressed from the why perspective. When I think back, the idea of having my own family was there to compensate for the feeling of not belonging that I've always had. I subconsciously thought that I would get that feeling of belonging for sure at the latest with my own children. Compensating for the lack with a child's presence? Not such a good idea. I've realized this connection lately, and now I have another question instead. What if in my older age I will be miserably lonely, living a socially empty life without my own children in it? And if that's the whole reason for having them, then it's quite sad too, to start my own family on grounds like these. Since I can remember, I have always made important changes from a strong intuitive pull. I don't feel it with this question in mind, but the societal pressure in my own biology emphasizes the topic of motherhood. These are the exact inner circumstances, typically calling for another disentanglement in my psyche and searching for core elements to ground my decisions. That ayahuasca ceremony, when I saw my children, the two boys running towards me, was nothing short of my own interpretation, as per usual. I still feel like motherhood is possibly somewhere there in my future, but more so in a non-traditional way, without time limits set by my physicality. This pressure that our ideas create in us is so immense when the intuitive hinge isn't present. I feel a relief when I speak my truth out loud. It is so good to put the pressure aside and allow the genuine calling to unfold itself in due time, even if it makes me into an ugly duckling. And if loneliness, pressure from outside, and misunderstandings are there sometimes, it is way easier to deal with them when the core is stable. It is important to me to know where I stand with my intuitive perception of my own conceived and constructed reality. This topic has been weighing on me for quite some time now. I even thought of rewriting the first book because I could no longer stand behind the words that I had written. It's a process, not of achieving but of becoming. And it is my intention to depict it as it is, without makeup, even if I'm ashamed to show parts of myself to the world and people surrounding me. It's healthier this way, to be confused and not to know, to dream and to fall into illusions. It's all part of the process, of the progress, evolving, growing up, changing, and witnessing the change. I'm asking myself why emotional consistency isn't a solid part of my existence, or of people I meet and how they handle friendships. I ask myself, how come what I want still comes in a package together with what I don't want? Just recently, for the first time, I had an explanation for it. I am the one being inconsistent. Not when things go right, but exactly at those moments when I feel that other person might do something that upsets me. They don't promise me a lifelong connection. They, in fact, have other older, closer friends. Suddenly I feel that I need to draw boundaries to show self-respect or find other ways to contain my feelings. I don't wish to be rejected. I don't wish to abandon myself anymore either. So why not, even at that risk, stay true to my open-hearted but no longer naive nature and use a chance to show the others, who for sure as well have their own emotional concerns, that they can count on my presence, emotionally not going away. I've been spinning my mind around this topic for quite some time now. Many possible options I came up with felt unpleasant and even hurtful, and the only choice that I resonate with, self-love, was to continue showing my genuine feelings, care, and heartfelt connection. What other people do is not in my control. Maybe they fear abandonment just as much or even more, and maybe we met to remind each other that it is possible to live in another paradigm. Why not start with myself? I want consistency. Let's show consistency. Intuition is a calling that is difficult to ignore once we start hearing it. Our brains are wired to selective attention. Once it is in our scope, the brain adjusts to incorporate it in our vision. And if it's then ignored instead of the previously felt numbness, we might encounter a nagging feeling saying the same as we already know. I shouldn't ignore. It's funny how things turn up. Some years ago I burned with a wish to be fully self-employed, working with clients, doing massages, energy work and readings, writing on top, developing my voice and turning it into an effective tool. After this long transitional phase of healing and putting pieces back together, life brought me to the exact point I stopped at to continue on my journey of independence. I've been hired as a massage therapist. I'm writing my second book. I offer past life readings as a means for dealing with emotionally difficult topics. I signed up to give voluntary speeches regarding authenticity in the first place. I also found a niche where I could start offering group guided meditations for corporate clients. What was my side gig, with the necessity of a job to sustain me, just like that, is now the space filling my whole occupational time and providing me with what I materially need. I didn't see it coming at all. I gave up on that dream and forgot it. It felt like I was robbed of it. Started looking into other directions, thinking of what other skills and experiences I can use for my benefit. The sense of stability was overridden by the old paradigms of lack, and the chick that was hatched by the mama bird would just went back inside the egg and shut the lid down. I tried my luck with countless possible job opportunities, and after a year and a half of just simply hanging by the thread financially, determined to cultivate a calm, here I am, right back where I, against my free will, left off purpose-wise. I literally can't wrap my mind around it, and I am stunned by the luck brought by Zephyrus and his gentle winds. Although these dreams are at their buds now, with a time I know some or all will blossom, giving me a pleasure of scent and color, joy of observing their development, and living beings to take care of. Love and the delight of seeing a loved one happy can barely compare to any other pleasure. Redeemed moments of happiness can seem like small joys, but they mean the world for those who love us. Forgiving oneself can take lifetimes, whereas forgiving the same mistake a loved one did takes seconds. Our perception of the surrounding environment changes with years passing by. Our environment changes mainly through the perceived image our minds are constructing based on our beliefs. The entire population of people means as much to us as any idea for as long as we do not witness their joys or sorrows. We forget to observe ourselves like we do our surroundings. We have a word for feeling others: empathy. What do we call the perception of ourselves? Not everyone is an empath. Not everyone is aware of their own feeling state. Both can be trained. What would we call intuition that provides us with information about our loved ones? The feeling that we have when we just know what's happening in their lives without actually knowing it. What would we call intuition that perceives information through dreams, bending the time-space reality of how details can reach us? What would be the name for intuition which just so happens to predict the events of our near future? One theory says that what we call intuition is merely a package of data our subconscious mind has processed for us before the conscious mind could catch up. Even if it is so, what it is magnificent, awe-striking, and evidence of what I'd say is the realm of my soul.